In the summer of 2013, George Zimmerman was acquitted of second-degree murder and manslaughter involving an altercation with a black teenager, Trayvon Martin, on February 26, 2012. This case was closely followed by the media shortly after Trayvon Martin's death up to the trial in 2013. After the shooting, Zimmerman was not kept long by the police. The black community was outraged, and the media covered the story, depicting how the police didn't investigate or charge Zimmerman initially. Because of the coverage of the story, pressure was placed on Sanford, Florida to charge Zimmerman. When the acquittal was learned by the community and the media, one of the reactions that came out of additional outrage was a protest in the form of a social media Twitter hashtag Black Lives Matter. By August of 2014, this hashtag had become a movement, accompanied by organizing its first in-person national protest occurring in Ferguson, Missouri, where yet another black teenager, Michael Brown, had met his end under racial biased circumstances at the hand of a Ferguson police officer, Darren Wilson. Over 500 people from around the country gathered in Ferguson to speak out against the injustice and violence that the black community was experiencing. This nonviolent protest was met with military initiatives from the police. The mixture of the protest and the military response of the police received national coverage, which eventually resulted in forms of social media, including videos that went viral around the world. Founded by Patrice Cullors, Alicia Garza, and Opa Tometi, the primary aim of the Black Lives Matter movement was to raise awareness of the violence done toward the black community. Though some chapters have begun to draw closer affiliations with the Democratic Party, the original movement had put distance between it as well as the NAACP as well as religious groups, possibly because of its leadership's base age group and how they perceive the group's agendas. The dynamics of varying responses from the public perception of the hashtag and the movement have ranged from the sparking of progressive conversations to propaganda from conservative camps and general misconceptions. 4 misconceptions related to the movement have been: 1, the claim and attempt at negating the credibility of the movement through the idea that black-on-black crime needs to be addressed by Black Lives Matter also. 2, saying that Black Lives Matter insinuates that Black Lives matter more than others. 3, the idea that saying Black Lives Matter means that blue lives don't matter, lumping the profession of criminal justice police work with ethnic groups and communities that have been targeted by the police. And 4, the idea that other ethnic groups, specifically white people, who have experienced violence by the police, should be emphasized by the movement as well. Raising up the issue of black-on-black crime is a diversion in dealing with real racial problems in the United States, which the Black Lives Matter movement is working at exposing. Crimes usually occur within ethnic groups, and due to the racially systemic and institutional conditions of many black communities, including public education and poor economic conditions, unfortunate crime rates exist. In reality, the crime rates are a symptom of the violence that is perpetuated against black communities. Secondly, insinuating that the statement Black Lives Matter is to be interpreted that Black lives matter more than other lives is propaganda, especially considering the narratives that we are being told in the media, where Black lives are ultimately ending in violence at the hands of police. Another use of rhetoric to divert attention to the real racial problems that this country is experiencing is the Blue Lives Matter hashtag, and an attempt at constructing a binary that leads people to believe that they have to choose one or the other, either Black Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter, as if the police profession is another ethnic group. Advocating and raising awareness for the oppression that black people are experiencing isn't negating the value of the police's job to protect and serve all communities that they are called to protect and serve. Lastly, the idea that the police violence toward white people should be raised since more of them are killed compared to black people is another diversion, considering that black men only make up about 6% of the U.S. population, and the ratio between white men and black men killed by the police is significantly disproportionate. What all these diversions suggest is a type of defending of white privilege in our U.S. culture and society in its normativity and transparency. Transparency in the sense that white people are usually oblivious to the privileges that they possess in the United States. It seems to me that a lot of energy has gone into making Black Lives Matter mean some arrogant marketing campaign that places higher value on the lives of black people over others, especially when it comes to the context of the American society that sends the message, Black lives don't matter, every time black people get killed senselessly by the police. Not to mention the efforts and injustice of mass incarceration or the way black people have historically been treated by this country. What I'm about to do is present a conflict as an assignment for a class that I'm taking titled Christian Spirituality and Restorative Justice. There are two reasons why I chose this conflict. The first reason involves the shootings that took place in Louisiana and Minnesota and Texas 1 week before July 15th, when we began this course on Christian spirituality and restorative justice. I am still processing this unusual surge of violence. It feels like every time I walk the campus mall at Seattle University, going toward the student center, as I pass by the law school, where the United States flag is raised, it seems that for a very long time it's been at the halfway mark. Something is terribly wrong in this country and in this world. And it seems to traumatize me in such a way where I am left without words, speechless, silent. But I can't be silent. Healing cannot come for me nor others in mere quietism. The second reason that I chose this conflict is because of the way the Ferguson protest initially affected me in the fall of 2014. The protest lasted several months. I was taking a course titled Ministerial Theological Integration 1. It included an internship, and we were specifically exploring our vocational identity. I had a presentation to give in class which met on Tuesday evenings. Dr. Cornell West had visited the campus the previous week. I believe that he was having a speech engagement. He also had lunch with one of my instructors, Dr. Michael Kinnaman, on that Thursday, October 9th, 2014. On the Tuesday that I gave my presentation, October 14th, I saw a picture on social media where Dr. West was in Ferguson protesting, struggling in the bustle between the crowds and the police wearing their riot gear. I remember thinking, Dr. West was just here in Seattle less than a week ago. I had been reading his book, Black Prophetic Fire, and perceived that not only was he writing on the prophetic tradition that has been historically demonstrated in the United States, he was also modeling it out. He and others had gathered in Ferguson to speak out against the injustice and violence that black communities have been experiencing from the police forces and their racial biases for far too long. In this presentation, I will attempt to define restorative justice spirituality and the challenges that it faces. I will also explore why I believe this problem that Black Lives Matter tries to address continues despite their efforts. Third, I will start a discussion as to why restorative justice spirituality is controversial in light of the issues that Black Lives Matter raises, but may offer longer-lasting solutions for our society. This discussion will be accompanied with some strategies that I have imagined and explored as I have reflected on this conflict. I will then end with concluding reflections and what I hope to do beyond this presentation.